Hi! For this video, I thought I would do a bookshelf tour because I love showing off my books. I don't plan on going over every single book I own because I have too many. Also, most of my books I have not read, so there'd be no point in talking about them. I honestly don't even know what I own. I own about 350 books and I've read about 150 of them. So that's like what, 200 I have not read. In my defense, I moved out of my mom's house like a year and a half ago and I left all of the books that I read like in middle school and high school at her house, like boxed up. I only brought books that I have reread as an adult or I plan to reread as an adult. So all of like my old YA books are at her house, the ones that I've held on to, and then a lot of my like assigned school reading that I just didn't care about, that's at her house. So I left almost 100 books at her house. Otherwise it would be a bit more even. So I'm using that as an excuse. Also, a lot of the books I own are used books. I love used bookstores. I think it's just so fun to like look at books and like think about where they've been and like if they were loved or not. And just you can find some like hidden gems in used bookstores. A lot of my unread books are books like I've never seen anyone talk about, and it's because I just picked them up at a used bookstore. I've gotten books for as cheap as like 25 cents. My books are very organized in my opinion, but to anyone else, they would probably think I'm crazy. So I'm gonna try my best to explain how they're organized. So I'm gonna start with my book cart. I feel like every reader has a book cart. I got it in 2020, I think. This is, I think it's like lavender, I don't know. Whatever shade of purple they call it is my book cart. I use my book cart for my yearly TBR. Basically, at the beginning of the year, I go through all of my unread books and I pick out books that I think I'll want to read that year and I fill the cart up. I'm like a mood reader. So if I'm in the mood for like a genre but not a specific book, I'm just like, oh, I want a thriller, and I'll go to my book cart and I'll pick out a thriller from the like narrowed selection. So as you can see, I have read some of my books this year because there's like some extra room. There's not that much extra room, but there's some. So I've read some. You can see that there's not very many thrillers left. That's what I've mainly been reading from my cart this year. I keep like regular sized books on the top, and then I keep like my mass markets that I want to read this year down here. I have, so A Song of Ice and Fire is my boyfriend's favorite book series. He loves the show. So I started reading the books when we started dating, and we've been dating for 4.5 years and I'm only on the 5th one. They're just so long and dense. The text is tiny and there's like no margins. And I can't do it. It's taken me a long time to get through each one. I'm sorry for the cat jingle. It's Lily. This is my boyfriend's copy. You can tell from how beat up it is because I am nicer to my books. So that just kind of lives in my cart because I have not read it in a long time. I'm like a quarter of the way through it. So that's just gonna stay there. On the top rack, I have like book related things. I have Dune sitting on top because I saw the movie when it came out. Was that 21? Really loved it. Started reading the book. I did not get very far. I got like 100 pages into it. I don't dislike it. I'm just like having trouble like getting into the books. So I just leave that on top. And then I did like a reading journal in 2021, bullet journal style. And I just ran out of time and energy, so I haven't done one since. The books I read that year, and then each like month had its own page where I like decorated it and planned what I wanted to read that month. And so I did that for it. And then for some books I did collages, but that's just so much work that I stopped doing it. I do have the Clockwork Reader reading journal that I have not used yet. And then this box has all of my bullet journal supplies in it for if I ever decide to start doing it again. So I just keep that on top of my book cart. I also have random little like reading things. Like you can hold your book open with this, like you put it on your thumb. I have this, you like weight down your pages so you can like hold your book open on a flat surface. Next is my pride and joy, Cassandra Clare. I have been reading the Shadowhunter books since I was like 11. So like 13 years, like when I started reading the books. This is my original copy of City of Bones, right? That's all that's in it. That's by Cassandra Clare. When clearly, there's been a lot more since then. So, being my favorite fictional world, it deserves its own wall. So I have the prequel series, the Infernal Devices, and then I have the sequel to that, The Last Hours, and then I have the Mortal Instruments themselves, and then I have 10-year anniversary edition. that I got because she was touring for the 10-year anniversaries. I still have my wristband. It has my name in it. And I got a picture with her. But isn't this copy just like so pretty? It has gold edges and has a little quote on the back. So I keep that up here. Then I have the sequel series, Dark Artifices. And then for the Eldest Curses, I didn't really know where to put it because like it jumps around time-wise. So I just have that right here. And then I have the 3 collections of short stories on the end. I just like got these floating bookshelves like on a whim, but they fit the series literally perfectly. Like it could not be more perfect than this. So that's my Cassandra Clare display. I love seeing this on my wall. It's like perfect. Now I'm going to show you my red bookcase, which is this one right here, which there's no way I can get the whole thing in the frame. So I'm just gonna go over a few of my favorites and like cool editions and like stuff like that. To start, my pretty copy of Pride and Prejudice. Just look at this book. It's so pretty. And I got this from a used bookstore for like $5. So I have that on display. I have 3 copies of Pride and Prejudice. This is the original copy that I read. I have all of Jane Austen's books in these editions because I think they're really pretty, but I've only read Pride and Prejudice and Emma so far. I've started Persuasion, but I've not touched it in a while, so that was on my TBR cart if you noticed. I also have this cute little mass market copy that I also got from a used bookstore because I just thought it'd be nice to have like a little sized. And I just really like displaying Pride and Prejudice, that copy, so I have that one out. So there's my like the City of Bones paperback I have. I loved The Hunger Games. I read it when I was like 12, like everyone else did. And if you have not read it since you were 12, read it again because I'm telling you, it's like, it's a different whole thing. I reread the series when The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out in 2020, and I just like fell in love with it. Like it's just, I've read it more times than I can count since then. These are my original hardcovers I had as a kid, but I also got paperbacks this year so I could go through and annotate them. So they're all tabbed. Each color means a different thing. I'm very organized when I annotate, which is why I don't do it very often. Another book I really like is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I have read all of his books, but this one has always been my favorite, which I know is like the most basic. But I don't know, I just really connected with this book. And this is my original copy. You can see it's like kind of beat up. Not because I didn't take care of it, because I read it like so many times. I also got a paperback of that recently. I got this last year and tabbed it and like annotated it. Again, the tabs mean different things. I want to, for both like The Fault in Our Stars and The Hunger Games, go through and read and annotate them like a second time, third time, like however many times I want to. I usually read The Fault in Our Stars about once a year. I've not read it yet this year, so maybe I'll get to that this year. Another thing I want to talk about is just something that's like really annoying, and I don't know if this is just the copy I got. I'm assuming they're all like this, but for the U books, I read the 3rd and 4th one as e-arcs, and so I have read the 4th one. I do not own it right now because I'm waiting for paperback, but 3rd one is smaller than the other 2. I also have this copy in hardcover that I got from a used bookstore. I literally got it for like $1, and I thought this was really cool, and I think this might be like the first edition like copy of it, so that's also cool that I have that. So I watched the first season of You in like beginning of 2019, and I just like love it. Like Joel Goldberg is like insane, but like so entertaining. So I read the book and really liked the first book. Have not really liked the book since then. They're not very good, but first one I think is really good. I think it's really interesting to like see from the point of view of the serial killer, because he can be so charming. Both the book and the show, like from the girl's point of view, is like rom-com material. But then from his point of view, he's literally a serial killer. Like it's such a cool idea. And I would love to read more books like that, but I have not found any more yet. Another gem is How the Penguin Saved Veronica by Hazel Pryor. Yeah. I got this from the Once Upon a Book Club subscription box. This was one of the 2020 selections, and I love this book. It was one of my 5-star reads from 2020. Just like it has like a little bit of everything in it. I laughed, I cried, like I just thought this book was so good. Like I was like obsessed with it. And so I found out that their like the UK edition was like a different cover altogether, and it has a different name. And so I made my mom track down another copy and give it to me as like a birthday present the next year. So I have 2 copies of this book, just because I like it so much. An example of like how I have like a lot of used books is like this is a used book, and it's like it's pretty used. Like you can tell it's used. Like it's extremely broken. But I just like, I don't like breaking spines myself, but I love the feel of a book with a broken spine. Like I love when books feel well loved and like read. I just don't like doing that myself. So I like used books because I get that feeling, but I don't have to hurt the book myself. That's all I really have to say about my read books. But like this whole bookcase from here to the floor, so you can only see 3 shelves, but there's 2 more shelves, and then I've had to start like double stacking the bottom shelf. Wait, so I said one of the books that got me into reading was Maximum Ride by James Patterson. Like I read it on my Nook, so I've like never owned a copy of it, but a couple years ago I found one at Goodwill for $1, and so I do own the first one, and I haven't read the physical copy, but I'm just so happy to like own the book that like got me into reading when for like 10 years I never owned it. So this one means a lot to me, even though I technically have not read this copy. Also, how cute are these bookends? I got these a few years ago because Barnes & Noble was selling them, obviously. They're so cute. I love them. I have them like on my bottom shelf, so they're like out of frame, but like I love them. So this is my unread bookcase. I don't really have much to say about it because I haven't read any of them. You can see my other copies of the Jane Austen books and those editions. This one's my favorite. I think that's the prettiest. I also have some Edgar Allan Poe's short stories in that same kind of edition, and I really like this one too. And I like that, especially because there's a kitty cat on it. So yeah, so I don't really have much to say about this. I haven't read them, but top to bottom, there's like 2 more shelves, and they're all unread. I like to have my 2 tall bookcases organized by author's last name. So like these are my read books. They're all organized by author's last name. Within author, I have them organized by like series, so they're in order by series. If there's a prequel, that one goes before the other ones. Otherwise, they're in publication order. I sound insane. I know I do. If there's any out of order, then it's because I wasn't paying attention when I unpacked them. And like I said, I never read in my reading chair, so I'm never like in here to like notice they're out of order. So also this is my craft table. Like I said, the other half of my room is for crafts, so that's my table. My room is like very small. So I just like is like wall to wall, not even a half an inch of space between the 2 walls. So that is just in this frame, and I can't do anything about it. This is my last bookcase. Obviously, I have run out of room on my other bookcases. So when we moved here, I got this bookcase because it's like kind of deep. And so my plan was to like double stack. I like regular books being like, you know, how books should be like this. I like regular books like this. But like mass markets, I like stacking them like this. I don't know. I'm mainly a fiction reader, but I do own some nonfiction. So I have my nonfiction right here. These are books I've just picked up over the years that I have not even tried to read. And this is just like a short story collection. It's fiction. I don't know where else to put it. And then behind these books, I have some like nonfiction and like miscellaneous books that like, whatever, they're just stacked behind there, hidden. This cubby is all of my mass markets that I have read because I ran out of room on my bookcase. I've slowly been reading through the Temperance Brennan books. If you know, like the TV show Bones was based off those books. It's about a forensic anthropologist like solving murders. I love that show growing up, and so I've been reading the books. I've read 4 of them, so they're over here. I read a few Stephen King books that are over here. Some like classics I read in school that I like might want to reread are in here. So these 3 are my unread mass markets. This is the like stupid tall mass markets. And then these 2 are like the regular size. This is all Stephen King. I own so many Stephen King books, but I've only read Carrie, The Green Mile, the first in the Dark Tower series. I think it's called Gunslinger. And then I've read 2 novellas. I've read The Body and The Mist. And that's it. But all of these are Stephen King, and half of these are Stephen King. To be fair, a lot of them are used, and it's like if I see a used Stephen King book, I'm gonna buy it because I know I'm gonna read it one day. So a lot of Stephen King. And then I have more books behind these. There's like a whole nother stack behind it. Especially a lot of these are used. You can tell by like the spines. They're just like cheap little books to pick up from used bookstores. Here's some more of the Kathy Reichs Temperance Brennan books that I'm trying to read through. Every time I go to a used bookstore and if they have one I don't have, I buy it. I've read 1 through 4 and then I own like 5 through like 13 maybe. A few weeks ago, I was sick and my boyfriend like went to like CVS to like buy me cough drops or whatever, and he came home and he was like, I was gonna get you flowers, but I thought you'd like a book more, and so he brought me the newest Temperance Brennan book, which is right here, which is like the 20th one. So it'll be a long time before I read it, but I'll read it one day, and it was very sweet of him to do that. And this last cubby, this is Pride and Prejudice pillow. It is a scene made up of the words, and then I hide stuff behind it. So like, it's words from the book, and there's a bag, and I also have a matching blanket. So behind this, I have all of my book sleeves. Not even all of them, I'm using a couple. If you've never heard of these, you like travel with books in them. So like you have a sleeve, and then you like put a book in it, and then you can like put it down in your bag and it doesn't get like bent up or ruined or anything. I wish I had these my whole life. So I have a lot. I have like every size. My favorite shop to get them from is called Good Vibes Good Books. It's run by someone named Kelsey, and she's very, very sweet. This is one of hers. Half of them are hers. This was a LitJoy crate one. It is Sandra Clare. It's from the Last Hours trilogy. And then it's obviously, you know what it is. And then I also have a Taylor Swift one. This is from Bookbo. They did like a pre-order. I'm not sure if they're still selling it, but like, how can I not get it? It's like literally beautiful. And it's like Eras themed. And so it has like a Eras like concert ticket on it. And she started the tour the weekend of my birthday. So it has my birthday on it, which is like really weird, but cool. So I love this because I love Taylor Swift, obviously. So I have book sleeves right here, and then I have my other Cassandra Clare stuff that's not like hardcover novels. I don't know what you call them, but they're like those little books that authors put out that are like about the world. This one's called Shadowhunters and Downworlders, and it just has like more information on stuff. I also have the Shadowhunters Codex, which is like a textbook / Bible for Shadowhunters. And then I also have a history of notable Shadowhunters and Citizens of Downworld. It's my favorite series. So this is like the different characters, like drawings of them with like flowers, and it's just pretty to look at. I also have that book in like card form, so it has like there's Church the cat that's featured in the books. I also have tarot cards of the characters. I'm telling you, this is my favorite series. So tarot cards. I also have the Magnus Bane plush because he's my favorite character. It says his name on the back. He's just always been my favorite character. And obviously he's a lot of people's because there's like a whole plush of him. And so, okay, he was always my favorite character because he's like so fun. But then I've been like rereading all the books the last couple of years, and he's still my favorite, but like on up there with favorites is definitely Jim Carstairs. He is like precious, and I just want to like protect him from like every bad thing that could ever happen to him. So those are my two favorite characters. So that's just all my like extra bookish stuff. But I just like hide behind that because then I can like use the pillow and it's like covering it up, but it's also decoration. Since I run out of room on my bookcase, obviously, I've started putting my recently bought books up here, and then maybe I'll read them sometime. Like I said, this isn't my dream book display. One day I would love to have ceiling to floor bookcases like wall to wall in a room and like have a library room. But like in the house we live in now, that's just like not gonna happen. This is like my dream book display in the space I have. So I'm very happy with the space I have, and I don't have much room to grow. Hopefully we'll only live here for a few years and then I'll have my dream library one day. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my book space. Like I said, it brings me a lot of joy, and I hope it was interesting for you to watch. So that's it. Maybe you'll watch another video after this. Maybe. Bye.
Is your audio coming? Yeah.
Looks like it is.
Okay. That's gonna be a good audio clip. I like that.
So there are 2 guests right now. I hope they don't get in the way. Oh, one has left. Oh, baby, do you want to leave? I'm working on it. I'm trying. Lily wants to leave and I can't get to the door.
You're free, baby. You're free.
She was scratching the door.
Are you still filming this one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.